Good afternoon and welcome back to TMNtv News. I'm Kerrigan Hutton and the date is February 20th, 2023. First, we'll start out with some national news and then move into some on-campus news. Tragedy struck last Monday when a 43-year-old gunman shot up two buildings at Michigan State University. The gunman, who was not affiliated with the university, ended up killing 3 and injuring 5 right before dying of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police have not disclosed a potential motive, but in response, students of MSU are calling for gun reform and more mass shooting protections on college campuses. And February is Black History Month. TMN reporter Eleanor Couchman recently spoke to several students, both from the United States and Africa, about their experiences here in Hays.
Black History Month is underway. The Black Student Union is hosting a banquet next Thursday in the Memorial Union embracing Black heritage. But as the event approaches, President Denzel Major says it's important not to treat Black people as a monolith.
Not every Black person likes rap. Not every Black person is a thug. Not every Black person condones violence. It's the fact that when you grow up in a small town or you have that small town mindset, exploration doesn't matter.
Major, a graduate student in clinical mental health counseling, says this as someone who grew up in New Orleans, a city famous for its mix of Haitian, Senegalese, Jamaican, and French heritage.
And that just, it all comes down to conversation, because a first generation African American has a vastly different experience than someone who's an African American who was born here.
His conviction is backed up by recent data. According to the U.S. Census, African Americans born in Nigeria have a lower poverty rate, a higher household income, and a higher proportion of people with bachelor's degrees than the national average. African Americans born in America have the exact opposite prospects.
You know, a lot of us are born into poverty, into oppression, systematic discrimination, things like that.
Okay, I was born in a city called Ibadan in Nigeria, and that's where I grew up.
Ayolua Animasham was a banker in Lagos before arriving at Hays last year as a graduate student. Lagos is one of the biggest cities in the world, and Nigeria will likely surpass the United States in population in less than 30 years, according to the UN. Despite its accelerating culture, though, Animasham believes Nigerian experiences are underrepresented in African American culture.
America is a place that accommodates people from different countries, so they can't just concentrate on just maybe like my own culture.
To that end, Animasham also struggles to relate his experiences with established Nigerian Americans.
The culture and the way of living in Nigeria advances every day, so you can't say, okay, I was in Nigeria in 2005, then I should still be used to Nigeria. Things have changed.
FHSU also has a cross-border partnership with Ben Management School in Dakar, Senegal, the hometown of Junior Dominga Safito Salani Senghor.
Chess, the second region, like right after Dakar, and that's where I grew up, finished high school, and then went back to Dakar for like university to start.
Senegal is smaller than Nigeria, both in size and population, but the partnership has given FHSU a prominent Senegalese community.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of Senegalese people around here.
Despite this, Safi says most people she's met in Hays cannot point to Senegal on a map.
I had a lot of questions like, where are you from, or something like that, and I always answer Senegal, but I always add up West Africa after that, just for people to like try to locate where is it, even though they may not know where is it.
Safi, a tourism and hospitality major, plans to return to Senegal after graduation, accommodating people from across the world in her home country. Regardless of local quirks, she is making the most of her time in America.
I'm here in Hays, and there's not a lot of Black people, but I still manage.
From 3 opposite sides of the globe, the Black experience is incredibly diverse. What remains true among them is that they're all African American. Reporting for Tiger Media Network, this is Eleanor Couchman.
As Eleanor mentioned, the Black Student Union is hosting a Black History Month banquet this Thursday in the Memorial Union Ballroom. There will be food, music, and more starting at 7 p.m. And recently, I had the chance to interview Fort Hays President Tisa Mason, along with NCK Tech and Northwest Presidents Eric Burks and Ben Shears, on the new strategic affiliation initiative proposed by all 3 colleges. I got to ask President Mason about how the affiliation will affect students and faculty.
So we spent a lot of time together building a framework and a process. We're not the content experts, so in this framework we developed, we chose 3 academic areas: nursing, ag, and construction, because we share part of that, and there are big needs in our communities for those areas. And then we have some administrative functions identified as well. And so we're going to kind of experiment, learn some things. So everything in nursing will be designed collectively by our nursing faculty. They create it. We're just saying, this is the framework, this is our goals, these are the outcomes, but you know how to do this together collectively. And so we're not trying to work cooperatively together, we're trying to work very much as one body of nursing faculty and ag faculty in different ways, and how can we supplement one another. And so from the very beginning, as we start to incrementally prove concepts and learn from nursing that may go later into informatics and computer sciences, they've got best practices developed, and then they can even expand that further. So faculty and staff and student voices will definitely be part of it, because it has to be. We can't design this, but we can set the tone and the vision and help encourage and incentivize people to do the work that will accomplish our goals of doing better for our students and for our communities.
I also asked President Shears about how tuition costs will be affected.
Yeah, so what we've talked about at this point in time, and I think this is an important piece of kind of understanding the nature and the structure of an affiliation. An affiliation, as we talked a little bit about the differences between that and mergers earlier, each of the 2-year colleges will still maintain their separate accreditation, as well as separate funding streams. And so a lot of those decisions when it comes to tuition, those are going to be decisions that are made still at the local level in working back and forth with the university. So, one of the questions that's kind of similar to this we get sometimes is, I had it at a community forum the other night in town, was, well, when this affiliation is done, are we going to see our tuition jump up? And I said, that's really not the goal. The realities that we all face in the state of Kansas individually as institutions are that I think we all make a very conscious effort to keep our costs affordable. I mean, that certainly has been a cornerstone of Fort Hays State's reputation around the state and around the nation, for that matter. And I think that I would say that, not speaking for Eric, but I would say in our case, our job is to keep technical education affordable so that we don't have students going out into industry saddled with a lot of debt. We're nationally right now, they're getting close to about $40,000 as the average student loan debt. I can say for our institution, we're under $7,000. And so affordability is still something very significant to us. And so, we're going to continue to do what we can to keep those costs affordable so that, again, our students can graduate, can get a great job that pays well, and can go out and start a family, buy a house, buy a car, do all those important kinds of things without being saddled with student loan debt. So,
for the full interview, please visit Tiger Media Network's YouTube page. Last semester, we reported on a public meeting held by Hays High where the possibility of changing the Indian mascot was discussed. Based on this meeting and the results from a public survey, it was announced last Wednesday that Superintendent Ron Wilson will be recommended to the school board to not change the mascot. This does not go against the state school board's recommendation to remove all Native American mascots in the next 5 years. However, according to the Hays Post, Wilson noted that a mandate would have to be passed by the state legislature, and they are, quote, considering much more significant legislation for public schools at this time, end quote. Wilson could make his recommendation to the school board as early as tonight's meeting. Coverage of that will be posted later on TigerMediaNet.com. More discussion is still to come on whether or not the Hays Middle School will change its mascot and colors to match the high school. And we'd just like to take a moment to highlight the members of our sports broadcast crew who were recently awarded second place in the Broadcast Education Association's Festival of Media Arts. This is a national award which they received for last year's Women's Regional Championship basketball game. This production was done by play-by-play and color, commentators, camera operators, and control room workers. And in weather, this week will be a warm one, for the most part. Today has a high of 62, and tomorrow will be the warmest day of the week with a high of 65. Temperatures will drastically fall by Thursday when the high is only 20 degrees with a low of 3 degrees. The cold will not stick around long though. By this weekend, we'll be back in the highs in the mid-60s. As always, to stay up to date with this forecast as it changes, visit kwch.com. And when we return, Reagan Neufeld will have your sports update.
We know you'll love what you see here on our campus in Hayes, America.
With over 200 academic programs, small classroom sizes, and a 96% success rate, we will make sure you get the tools you need to succeed.
We are proud to offer you 120 clubs and student organizations, over 300 different intramural activities, and countless other ways to get involved here on campus.
As the most affordable four-year institution in the entire state, we are excited to offer you the best value in education anywhere. Not to mention our robust scholarship programs to help minimize that stress of paying for college.
We hope you enjoyed Tiger Nation, and we can't wait for you to see yourself here.
Welcome back. I'm Reagan Neufeld, here with the weekly sports update. The Fort Hays basketball teams are finishing up their regular season schedules and preparing for the MIAA tournament next week. On the women's side, the Tigers face two tough conference opponents, playing Pittsburgh on Thursday and Missouri Southern on Saturday. Both games resulted in a loss for Fort Hays, 76-66 against the Gorillas and 61-58 against the Lions. Katie Wagner led the team in scoring for both contests. Her 30 points on Thursday were not only a career high, but it was also the first time a Tiger has scored 30 points since January of 2015. It was a different story for the men's team last week as they won both of their games by a large margin, defeating Pittsburgh State 71-49 and Missouri Southern 84-70. The Tigers had three players score in double digits both games. The two leading scorers were Caleb Hammocky, who had 19 and 35 points, and Elijah Nanabu, who had 13 and 19. The teams will travel to Kearney, Nebraska this Saturday to take on the Lopers in the last game of the regular season. The indoor track season is also coming to a close. The Fort Hays teams competed at the Nebraska Tune-Up on Friday, bringing home 3 first-place finishes and 2 school records. Maddie Rossi captured one of each, placing first in the 600-meter run with a time of 1 minute and 33.6 seconds, breaking an 11-year-old school record. The other 2 top finishes came from Ryan Stanley in pole vault and Jonah Rumsberg in long jump. A handful of other Tigers placed in the top 10 of their events. These full results can be found on TigerMediaNet.com. Up next for the track teams are the MIAA Championships this Friday and Saturday in Pittsburgh. Spring sports are in the early parts of their seasons, with softball and baseball on the road for non-conference tournaments and doubleheaders this last week. The softball team has begun their season with a 3-5 start, 4 of those losses coming from the Raising Cane's Softball Festival in Oklahoma on Friday and Saturday. The Tigers will look to get back into the win column this weekend as they compete in the Topeka tournament, playing 6 games in 3 days. As Caden Sanders mentioned on our last show, the baseball team has already shown improvement from last season. The Tigers have gotten off to a 7-5 start since games started. On Saturday and Sunday, the team was in Colorado, where it split 2 doubleheaders with Regis University. Up next for the Tigers are a few MIAA games here at home. They'll host Washburn this weekend, starting Friday. That wraps up this week's sports update. You can find updates on all Fort Hays athletics throughout the week on TigerMediaNet.com. Before we head to a commercial break, here is a look at the upcoming athletic schedule. Five, four, three.
When you transfer to Fort Hays State University, you discover unmatched affordability, convenience, and powerfully supportive faculty and staff, all with a determination that matches yours. Complete your degree and leap forward in your life and career with Fort Hays State University Online, the best value in education anywhere.
Welcome back. In local entertainment news, the Hays Symphony Orchestra performed its Masterworks concert on Saturday. In addition to the ensemble, the concert featured 4 students from the Fort Hays who were winners of the orchestra's Concerto and Aria competition, which was held in October. The 4 soloists were Brandon Smith, Katie Walters, Louise Valencia Zamora, and Ashley Valising. The Hays Community Theater's next show is Friday and Saturday, with tickets available for purchase online. The show is a comedy and murder mystery play written by local playwright Kathleen Holland. Here is show director Amy Birchman on what she likes about the show.
Honestly, I think the way that the script itself is written really lends to super fun, entertaining show. I've seen it in its entirety and in pieces 30 times or more, because we've run it multiple times per day during practice, you know. So I will say I've seen it at least 50 times now, and heard it, I should say, you know, in those combinations. And I still laugh, even though I know what's coming. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's like watching your favorite movie. You know, you don't watch it again if you don't like it, you know, and you don't laugh if you don't enjoy it, you know, kind of a thing.
More information about the show can be found on TigerMediaNet.com. Fort Hays Esports Supervisor Kevin Schaefer is expecting between 50 and 100 participants in this year's Tigerland, an annual gaming event hosted by the organization. This is the 23rd year of Tigerland, and the day will feature Minecraft and Smash Bros. Tournaments. Participants can also bring their own consoles to play a variety of games. The event is being held in the Memorial Union Ballroom this Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. More comments from Schaefer can be found on TigerMediaNet.com. And some people love Valentine's Day, while others have no plans on that day at all. Fort Hays Student Engagement hosted an event last Tuesday for both kinds of these people. offering several fun and relaxing activities. Here is reporter Alicia Fireherm with more.
Student Engagement hosted the Charm Your Heart Valentine's Day event in the Black and Gold Room of the Union on Tuesday. Student Engagement worker Allie Caldwell says this is just one of the many events Student Engagement hosts.
Today we just wanted to put on an event that anyone could come to just to relax if they didn't have Valentine's Day plans, or if they did, it's just something fun to do on a fun holiday. Today we had bracelet making and painting and pictures, and we got really cute shirts. So just something fun, and we love doing this for students as a way to relax and get away from classes and just do something fun with other people.
Student Kyla Barnett says she has a greater appreciation for events like these after experiencing school during the pandemic.
My first 2 years, my associate's degree, I did at home in my bed online. And so it really is my first year being around other people and being around people in my major. And so some of my nursing friends came, and it's just nice to be able to be around people who are here for the same reason you're here, but also are having fun for the same reason you're having fun. I love doing the little painting things. I loved all the activities when I first transferred over, and so I hope that they continue because they're really fun.
Student Engagement's next event will be a karaoke night in the Cody Commons on Tuesday. For Tiger Media Network, I'm Alicia Fireherm.
Thanks, Alicia. Upcoming student engagement events can be found on the organization's TigerLink page. The Moss Fornes Gallery of Art on campus typically showcases work from students, but the exhibit currently on display features work from a famous artist. Our reporter Nick McCoy went out to check it out.
Starting on February 13th, the Moss Thorns Gallery has been hosting an art exhibition honoring Ian Hornuck. Hornuck was an influential figure in the hyperrealism and photorealism movement, and his work covers landscaping, portraits, and still life, among other things. Hornuck's sister Rosemary donated much of his work to the Moss Thorns Gallery, which allowed them to create this exhibition. Gallery director and interior design instructor Colin Schmidberger explained what the purpose of the gallery was.
We were donated some of the works. We really wanted to highlight him as an artist, so we wanted to do that, but we also wanted to bring new and interesting works of a famous artist to the Hayes community, to our students, and to the faculty here. It gives them something outside of the usual that we're able to showcase in this gallery, which just helps everybody in the artist community.
While he is honored by Moss Thorns, this is the first time that the gallery has created a complete exhibition for him. However, according to Schmidberger, most students have had positive reactions.
So far our students have actually been kind of in wow of the works that come in. We don't have a lot of hyperrealism from our artists. A lot of the works that are shown in the gallery are from students themselves, and so it's one of those that for them to be able to see an artist of this status and to see these detailed works is really big for the students.
This exhibition by the Moss Thorns Gallery of Art is meant to honor Ian Hornuck as an artist and is open until February 24th during regular school hours. With Tiger Media Network, I am Nick McCoy.
Thank you, Nick. More information about future exhibitions can be found on the FHSU website. And that is a wrap on today's TMNtv News. To stay up to date with local, state, and national news, visit tigermedianet.com, as well as our social media pages. Thank you for watching. I'm Kerrigan Hutton, and we'll see you next time.